Thank you for hosting, and if we have any time, I'd love to open it up and answer any questions that you guys have. So you maybe have them?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a disabled vet, 80% service connected. Since Biden took office and the new vet secretary, they revoked, all of Trump's VA guidelines as far as if we can't be seen within 30 days, we can go to community care. All that's been taken away. Now you're waiting 6 months, 8 months to see a mental health specialist or a surgeon or whatever. And then they were talking about the red flag as well. So what's your goal when you get there as far as getting military vets, their benefits back versus illegal aliens getting that funding for their stuff?
Yeah, it's
Which is what they've
truly
been
shameful.
redirecting
It's
funds.
the exact opposite. You can always trust Biden to put America last. Whatever the worst America last policy is, that's what they're really excited about. And I mean, I don't think illegal aliens, anyone who's broken our immigration laws to come here, I don't think they should be receiving social services. Right? At the state level, at the federal level. And we need to do so much better for our vets. I grew up having a first-hand look at the broken VA system. My grandfather, who passed away about 10 years ago, was a World War II vet. He was in the Pacific. And right after coming home, within a matter of months, I think he had to have his leg amputated owing to an infection that he got over in the Philippines. And so of course, I only knew him as, Poppy always had one leg, and he would have a prosthetic, but he had some of the worst phantom limb pain. When you lose a leg, your brain sometimes thinks it's still there in the nerves. And I remember distinctly watching him struggle on the phone trying to get VA appointments. He would come down to live with us in Tucson. He was from Pueblo, Colorado. He'd come down to live with us about 6 months out of every year because the VA system in Tucson was a little bit stronger than the one he had access to in Colorado. So it was kind of good to really grow up with him. But man, he had to forearm shop just to get an appointment within 3 or 4 weeks instead of 6 to 8 weeks, right? You understand it was getting a little bit better under President Trump.
It was
grateful for that
absolutely less than
progress.
30 days.
But it is it's shameful how we treat our veterans. And the whole point of a VA system is to get them elite health care, fast, better, free, right? Owing to the sacrifices that they made for this country. And in many cases, it works even worse than the commercial health care alternative. And so we know what to do. President Trump kind of showed the way. And if you had 10, 12 years of those policies, I'm pretty sure we'd finally be in a place where we're starting to honor our veterans' sacrifice. But yeah, I'll do everything I can.
Yeah, it can't be an executive order because that's a problem. It's on the whim of the president.
And Congress needs to do its job. And actually, too much of the way it works is Congress they call it delegation. Congress just delegates its power. Oh, you have a Department of Veterans Affairs. They just delegate the power, and then congressmen and senators don't want to do their jobs. So they just assume that's for the president, that's for the Secretary of Veterans Affairs to deal with. No, it's for Congress to deal with. Congress created that agency, and I think they just abdicated responsibility for it. I want to hold congressional hearings. I'll have subpoena power. I can subpoena anyone to come and answer questions under oath about why things are so broken at the VA. And I promise you I'll use that power.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, where do you stand with the current leadership and with the situation that we have with Mitch McConnell and Trump and you being a Trump-endorsed candidate? So, how do you think those things can be changed and overcome? Because we don't want to hear that, we need to wait till 2026 or,
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm not Mitch McConnell's favorite candidate in the race, I'll tell you that. He's got a candidate that he's hoping wins on Tuesday, and it's not me. Because I've criticized him on the campaign trail. I think I've been fair. I've also praised him. It always gets press when I criticize because people are trying to cause fights. I also praise Mitch McConnell. I mean, he's done some good things. He's good at blocking the Democrats when he's in power. He's good at judges. He transformed the federal judiciary and helped shepherd through Trump's 3 Supreme Court picks, right? Which just repealed Roe v. Wade. So all that's good. And my issue is I want to go on offense. I want to implement that America First agenda. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that Mitch McConnell does. I've pledged to vote for any viable alternative if someone wants to challenge him. Like if Josh Hawley were to challenge him, I think Hawley would be a fantastic majority leader. But I'll also be perfectly honest, and it's not always what people want to hear, I don't know if anyone's going to run against him. In fact, I bet no one does. And so I think Mitch McConnell will get another turn as majority leader when we take back the Senate. And look, I wish everybody a long and happy life, healthy life, but I'm going to outlast Mitch McConnell. I'm going to beat him. longer than he is, right? Maybe he has one more term as a senator. And so fixing this country is not a one-year project. We're not gonna get every leadership post and every bill passed in the first year, but give us 6 years, especially give us 12 years, if we get the right people in right now, starting right now, I think we can do a lot more than people think. We'll see. Yes?
What can you do in Washington to help the drought situation in the West?
Yeah, the drought situation, and it's pretty bad. The more I learn about water policy in Arizona, the more I kind of get freaked out. Actually, it's really bad. We're in a desert, we're in a drought, and we're growing. I'm pro-growth, but a lot of the growth that we're seeing, especially in Maricopa County, I think is completely unmanaged and irresponsible. You know, they've required developers of these giant subdivisions to show a 100-year water plan, which makes sense, because you want to actually only build if you can give, what good is building a house if you can turn on the faucet and no water comes out in 10 years. The problem is they just tweak these computer models, and then they come up with a 100-year water plan and they sell the homes, and then it turns out, no, it's actually irresponsible. Right, Lake Mead, the Colorado River, they're kind of at their lowest they've almost ever been, and we're just growing. So there's two ways out of this thing. One is politics, and two is technology. Politics just means renegotiating from an Arizona First perspective. All of these agreements, you know, some of it is federal law, a lot of it is state law. The Master Water Rights Sharing Agreement between Arizona and California was signed in 1925. 1925, you think a few things have changed since 1925? And you won't be shocked to learn that California got the better end of that deal. So a lot of the water that I think ought to be ours just goes to California, where they literally waste a whole bunch. Some of it's inefficient irrigation, and some of it they just dump into the ocean. But like, we should be making Arizona First water deals, right?
That's right.
So that you want someone who's young and competent and who's got a long future invested in Arizona to be renegotiating some of these agreements, and I'll help with the state legislature too. To the extent things need to be done at the state level. But the other bucket that I'm particularly excited about is technology. You know, we do have to innovate our way out of some of these water shortages. You know, like pipelines. People talk about bringing it in from the Mississippi River. I think that's probably pretty complicated, but there's probably some deals to have where you make desalination plants and pipe water in through the Sea of Cortez. Everyone says, oh, you can't deal with Mexico, it's too tough. Trump knew how to deal with Mexico. Trump had like 30,000 Mexican military personnel that were blocking caravans of illegals to not come up through. You can deal with countries like Mexico, even if they're very corrupt, if you have strong Republican-led administrations. So I'd love to see desalination plants and pipelines, right? I think in the Harquahala aquifer here in Maricopa County, or at least part of it's in Maricopa County, we're sitting on 3 or 4 Lake Meads. Like, there's actually a lot of water underground, and it's going to take some technology to efficiently extract that water, and then some good political agreements to, you know, efficiently ferry it out through the state. So I think there's enough water in the world, but with a combination of technology and good policy, right, sharp elbows at the negotiating table, we can stave off disaster. But if we start worrying about this in 10 or 12 years, it's going to be too late. Way too late. Yes?
When was the last time you read the U.S. Constitution?
In its entirety, honestly, probably like a year ago when I was running for, or thinking about running for Senate, getting in. But I refer to it all the time. Little provisions, right? The other day someone asked me what Article 6 was, right? And it's like, I actually forgot what Article 6 was. It turns out to be like a more procedural one about how to ratify it, right? But no, I take it very seriously, the Bill of Rights. First Amendment, the left used to be for it. Now they're against it. Only conservatives believe in free speech, right? The Second Amendment, of course, is the amendment that defends all the other rights that you have. And so I consider myself a Bill of Rights absolutist. We have a whole caucus in D.C., Republicans and Democrats, who act like the 9th and 10th Amendments don't even exist, right? Like, I actually think if you asked most U.S. senators to say what's the 10th Amendment, they would not know. They would not know that it is the States' Rights Amendment. And so you got to get a more constitutional perspective back in there. Yes?
So I consider a heartbeat law to be a compromise. How do you feel about heartbeat laws?
I also consider it to be a compromise. And the left, man, they always say, oh, Republican pro-life people are the extremists. It's like, no. Remember, Mark Kelly voted for unlimited abortion on demand nationwide up until the moment of birth. That's the extreme position. The heartbeat law, I view as the compromise. And so I support that at the state level, absolutely. I'm the one candidate in this race who, before Roe v. Wade was repealed, I said we got to get rid of Roe v. Wade, but that's not enough. Even at the federal level, I think you have to go further. You know, states' rights are important, but California should not have the right to allow Planned Parenthood to go in and sever spinal cords and dismember babies at 7 or 8 months in the womb. So at a minimum, at the federal level, I think we need to ban partial birth abortion and late term
So,
abortion.
let me give you a scenario. So conservative states who decided to pass heartbeat laws, who went as low as they could go, when Roe versus Wade was pulled, they actually still had legal abortion. Where you had other states who hadn't passed it, you still had the old laws on the book, and now abortion is illegal. So it literally saved lives immediately.
That's right. I read something recently, I forget how many the Texas heartbeat law has already saved, but it's like staggering. It's like a lot of people. And they're people.
Well, they could continue to offer abortion because that heartbeat law passed.
Right.
So if it had not passed,
I see
it
what you
still
mean.
had been illegal, you understand?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So-
And look, now that Dobbs got rid of Roe, it does sort of pass this decision back to the state legislatures. The state legislatures, either already or their next session, they're all going to decide what their state level policy should be. And you know, some states are going to make wise decisions and some aren't. But I think that we need a federal backstop too.
And I think in politics, most people thought it could not be overturned.
That's right. And
So
50
they
years.
operated from that vision when it came to
That's
making
right.
conservative choices.
But I think the Texas legislature is now going to convene, and Arizona has a version of this too, right? And I think Burbidge said the 1906 territorial law applies. And so probably next session, Arizona legislature is going to have some debate. Hopefully we have a Republican legislature. We really, really need a Republican legislature. Get out and vote for Republican legislatures, right? We have narrow majorities right now. In the state house, I think it's 31-29, the state senate is 16-14. So thank goodness we have a Republican legislature, but it's why we didn't get any great election integrity stuff passed. Because with those narrow majorities, it only takes 1 or 2 rhinos, frankly,
That's right.
to spike a good bill.
And a Democrat Secretary of State.
Katie
See
Hobbs.
back in there, yeah.
Look, we're all gonna have to move out of Arizona if Katie Hobbs wins, okay? So let's make sure that that doesn't happen in November. I think she's gonna get crushed. She's just so horrible. She's so horrible. But
So is Biden.
so is Biden. I know, which is why we can't be complacent.
No, and Kamala Harris too.
Kamala Harris is probably as discussed, even worse than Biden somehow.
Yes.
Somehow she'd be
I'm
even worse
still
than
up.
Biden. Yeah, one more maybe? I wanna be sensitive to your time.
Oh, so, have you been to the, Arizona border?
Yes, I've been a number of times, more than 4 that I can think, and less than 10. I've been to Yuma sector, which is getting hardest hit. I've been to Tucson sector. I've been in south of Sierra Vista, in Cochise County. I was just in Nogales the other day. I've literally seen people cross. The group that I saw cross was about 10 or 13. It wasn't one of the huge groups. But if you stay there long enough, you will see people just cross.
And then they have buses that take them to their destination.
Border Patrol kind of comes up in an SUV, and God bless the Border Patrol agents, man, that is a tough job in the best of circumstances. So what about in the worst of circumstances, which is what Biden has created for them? They detain people, they take the report, they send them to a processing facility. But it's so demoralizing for these agents who just want to enforce federal law, and they know that those people aren't going to get deported. They know that those people are going to get a ticket and a manila envelope, and soon they'll be in Cleveland,
So how
It's really,
many
really crazy.
years are we gonna be discounting them for everything?
Until we wisen up, forever. And I think that really it's 14 million illegal aliens are on track to arrive under 4 years of Biden Harris. It's like almost double the population of Arizona. And again, a lot really do drain from social services. Stuff that should be going to you because you stuck your neck out for this country as an American citizen and fought. In the military, and we're not taking care of veterans, but we're taking care of illegal aliens. Like the priorities are just so upside down. And that's why I guess inflation is obviously a co-equal huge issue, but man, this border crisis. Biden has created it, and at every step, Mark Kelly has just enabled it. Although now you've heard the news. They're gonna close a few sections of wall. After years of just screaming that the border wall is racist, Trump's border wall is racist, the Democrats finally know they've failed, they have no positive accomplishments, but November is looming. Mark Kelly knows I'm coming after him, so they get the White House to agree to patch up a few sections of wall, and they're gonna run on border security. This is what they do. And regardless of the outcome in November, all the open borders policies will come back right back after the midterms. said we can't let him get away with it. My job is to tie Mark Kelly to the failed Biden administration. He's been voting for all the crazy inflation, he's been voting for all the crazy open borders, and we're gonna make him own that. When we do, I think we beat him in the market. So, thank you so much, thank you again for everything. Thank you.